wrestling season.
I know. I thought you guys should have a wrestling meeting. I told Quinn you guys should do it.
A young guy like yourself.
No, it's
3 Fridays in a row.
strategy, a strategy meeting this week.
Excellent.
Anyway, thanks for putting that detail in there.
Yeah. Right on. Inside your life. When are you going to start?
The only one I didn't imagine I don't talk about manholes because expenses have long, so this
We've been a point of discussion numerous times. Really?
I'm glad you guys are talking about it. For the most part, yeah.
Yep.
Come on down, I'll be in yours on this side.
It's just trying to get things stable.
Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a reminder to please turn your cell phones off, turn your microphones on. Andrea, could we have roll call, please?
Mayor Bain,
Here?
Councilor Baker. Here. Councilor Lindstrom.
Here.
Councilor Quinlan.
Here.
Councilor Scalisi.
Yeah.
Councilor Sherman. Here.
Larry Lundstrom, welcome. I'd like to welcome Larry to our council. You got Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. You've all had a chance to look at the regular meeting minutes of December 10th. Are there any changes to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as read. Wait, actually, all those in favor for the minutes to be approved as submitted?
You need a motion
Aye.
first.
I'll move we approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. Visitors and delegations, 4A, donation to Crime Stoppers, Paul Acosta. Lieutenant Hardy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Paul Acosta. I'm the administrator of the Morgan County Moose Lodge 1857, and behind me is, or to my left here, is the governor of the lodge, which is Mike Fico. And we did a big first responders benefit over this past summer, and we made quite a bit of money on it, and we like to give back. So our lodge has decided to give $600 to the police department as a donation from us to you to use for Crime Stoppers or for whatever you need to use it for. But we felt this would be something for you guys, and because of all the community service after the tornado, and we're really appreciative of that as the lodge and our membership. So, and we're proud of our organizations here in our town that keep us safe. So.
All right, thank you very much.
So we'd like to do a check presentation, if you don't mind. Do you want to do it with you, Mr. Mayor, or do you want to do it with the chief of police? Chief, if you don't mind, or?
As
Okay.
governor of the Moose Lodge and all of our members, we're proud to present this check to the Brush Police Department. We want to thank you for your service and a job well done.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you very
Chief.
much.
Thank you so much.
You're with Crime Stoppers, right?
I'm Larry Vita.
Okay. So we've never met before. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Larry Vita?
Larry? Vita. So during Oktoberfest, the Brush Police Department took part along with Brush Fire Department, and it kind of gives us a chance to reach out to the community. We took a lot of equipment over to the Oktoberfest. We let kids get sticky stuff all over everything we own, and then we spend the next 2 months cleaning it up. From climbing in the MRAP, wearing armor, you name it, we let them do it. And at that time, we were doing this hot dog stuff like that, waters and stuff. So we generated a few dollars, and we wanted to add that to Crime Stoppers. I can let Larry explain kind of how Crime Stoppers works. I will say Crime Stoppers plays a pretty key role in a lot of the cases that we work, not on an everyday basis. But Crime Stoppers relies on accounts where they can get these monies to sometimes help convince people to do the right thing. But I can let Larry explain that a little better.
Sure.
Before I do, the City of Brush, or the Brush Police Department, raised $267.60 during those sales over there that day. And I do want to mention Morgan County Sheriff's Office. They had sent their check directly up, and I don't remember the amount, but they had brought down the Colorado Regional Post driving simulator. I think they were charging like 50 cents to go in and drive like you were drunk. It was like kind of, they can do certain things like that. So I just wanted to mention them because they did have a part in it as well.
Great. All right.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and the invite to come and accept this wonderful opportunity to get this gift. I've run Crime Stoppers since 1981. I've been in law enforcement 48 years. My career started in NYPD and then finished up in Boulder, Colorado. And I started the Crime Stopper program back in '81. We've solved over 3,000 crimes, 21 homicides. We covered over $32 million in properties and narcotics over the years. And we're a nonprofit organization, so all the funds that are utilized for our program are donations and businesses that support us over the years. I also started the State Crime Stoppers program back in '84 and the School Crime Stoppers program for the kids in 1983. So we've got all the bases covered, and all of these funds that are generated and donated to our organization go to help fight crime. Unfortunately, the state of Colorado has become some of a hotspot for the criminal activity and major drug opportunities in most communities across the state. And on the way over here, I got 22 tips on my cell phone. I'm on the job 24/7. And those tips go from myself to a coordinator or the agency responsible for following up on that particular crime. Everybody that contacts us, the guaranteed anonymity of the informant, protected by 320 United States Supreme Court cases that uphold how we operate and work to protect the people that are willing to step forward and give us the information. So we're very successful. We've got a 97% conviction rate on those tips that are followed through by the district attorney's offices and charges filed against the individual. For the actual 40-plus years that we've been running the program, not one informant has ever been identified. Not one. So the program is very, very successful in what it does. We're fully technologically involved. We've got all the high-tech equipment, social medias. The criminal is still not rocket scientists. They actually advertise on Facebook and Twitter their successes of their criminal activity, which gives us the opportunity to get that information. So thank you once again for this opportunity and helping us support Crime Stoppers throughout the state of Colorado.
Thank you for all your service.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Paul,
Thank
you're
you,
doing a
guys.
great job
Appreciate it.
with the Moose Lodge. I see it on Facebook. You guys are advertising and doing a great job.
Thank you, we appreciate it. You're welcome to come by and visit with us anytime.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, moving on, also under visitors and delegations, we have Matt Gordon, who's a best and brightest student that the city is going to have hopefully for the next 2 years. Matt, could you come up and tell us a little bit about yourself and about the program?
Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I wanted to formally thank DOLA and the city for coming to this agreement and bringing me to the town. This has just been such an amazing process and experience so far, and I've only been here for a few days. As far as myself goes, I'm a graduate student in political science and public administration. I have a whole bunch of other crazy things that I've done in my life. I've played in bands, I play instruments, I've done stand-up comedy, I've done videos, I've done website design, all sorts of fun stuff. But I've transitioned back again to focusing more on local government in the last year, and through a great colleague, Tony Robinson at the University of Colorado, Denver, made me aware of this program, told me to apply. 2 days later, I was sitting in front of everybody interviewing, and almost 3 months later, I'm here in front of all of you today. So I just want to say thank you very much for having me, and I can't wait to get started to work.
We're very excited to have you. When I first heard about this program from our city administrator, we were hoping this would happen, and things kind of fell into place with the county being able to offer a place to reside.
Yeah,
Our
that's an
housing's so
amazing
tight.
house, by the way.
We thought that probably was a major help, but we're glad to have you. Welcome to Brush.
Thank you so much.
There,
Yeah.
thank you. Is there anyone that would like to publicly comment tonight? Okay, moving on to number 5, management. We have a public hearing on the final plat, Agri Park subdivision number 1. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll begin with a staff report from Tyler.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the third part of the subdivision process. The first part was the sketch plan, and then the preliminary plat, and now the final plat. The City of Brush has made an application for the final subdivision for the Agri Park subdivision number 1, which is what we are doing here tonight. The proposed subdivision final plat is in your packet there, as well as the development engineer review comments and the preliminary term sheet for the development agreement. A complete full-size copy of the engineering plans for the proposed infrastructure, along with a complete half-size plan set with RG and Associates review comments, are available at City Hall for review. It's 71 pages, so we didn't put that in your packets, which I'm sure if you printed those, you're thankful for. The final plat purpose, this is the last step in the major subdivision process, as I said. Once the final plat is approved and all conditions are satisfied, a copy of the plat and the signed subdivision improvement agreement can be recorded at the Morgan County Clerk and Recorder's Office. After the documents are recorded, any lots created by this subdivision can then be sold and transferred to a new landowner. That being key, because we've done things a little bit outside the box through this project overall, and some things are in a sense pending per the approval of this subdivision and the development agreement. Over the past several years, when the city acquired the property back in 2014, significant cleanup activities have taken place. The city took the initiative at working to remove manure, pens, fences, etc. And then this past year, a lot of excavation work was done by a private organization, Colorado Land Processors LLC, at their own risk. And so all the movement we've been seeing out there has been the result of their positive work that they've been doing. In early 2018, the property and the parcel to the south were annexed into the city of Brush and zoned for industrial uses. And while going through the annexation process, the Planning Commission reviewed a sketch plan, as I mentioned before, for the future development of the property. Subsequent to that, a preliminary plat was reviewed and approved by Planning Commission August 20th of 2018, and then received approval by City Council a week later on August 27th. And last week, the Planning Commission met once again and approved the final plat, and that's what you have before you tonight for City Council. The plat meets relevant goals, policies, and strategies according to the comprehensive plan, and those are laid out in the report there. From the preliminary plat approval by council, there was a list of 13 conditions, which is on page 3, and just going through those, we'll go over the condition or the current outcome of each one of those. Now, this being put together, some of these are being resolved, some have, I think, been resolved, but the city, which will be Monty, he'll speak to those after we go through this. So the first one, the preliminary plat approval will expire 24 months of City Council's decision. That's kind of standard there. Number 2, clarify and amend the wording on the plat currently labeled as future right-of-way. That has been resolved. Number 3, add an easement for the common stormwater pond that is to be located on the west side of Lot 1. The red is on there because it needed to be resolved. It wasn't at the time. And the correct easement location must be included on the subdivision plat prior to recording the plat and subdevelopment, or in the development agreement. Number 4, an approved CDOT access permit must be submitted with the final plat application, and we did receive both of those access permits. We have copies of those at City Hall. Number 5, all comments from city development engineers, RG and Associates, dated June 8, 2018 review are fully addressed and resolved, and so the dialogue has been going back and forth on that. Number 6, 100% complete civil engineering drawings are required to be submitted with the final plat application. Those also have been submitted and are acceptable. Number 7, a full drainage report is required to be submitted with the final plat application. A lot of back and forth went on that. That's been redlined on here as well, but that's also been under discussion over this past week since Planning Commission has met. Number 8, a turning radius analysis for semi-trucks must be submitted with the final plat application. That's all been provided. Number 9, the road section specs that clearly identify the type and depth of materials must be included. That's looking for verification from RG and Associates. Number 10, a temporary cul-de-sac with an all-weather surface sufficient to support emergency vehicles is required to be constructed where the interior road terminates at the south property line of Lot 1, and that also has been included in the plans. Number 11, documentation that Xcel Energy has approved the design details for the project must be submitted with a final plat application. And we, as well as, we've been in discussion with Xcel on that, so things are moving forward in a positive direction. Number 12, a proposed development agreement including all attachments and exhibits is required with a final plat application. And so that's one thing that is outstanding that we are currently working on. And then the 13 is one that City Council actually added to the original 12 conditions that Planning Commission approved. And that was an easement for city utility lines to be located within the future Agri-Park Road in Lot 2. And that has been taken care of. And during the notice period for this application, no comments have been received. And then the last page is just the conclusion and recommendation summary for council, that after the public hearing last week with Planning Commission, they did vote to recommend City Council's approval for the proposed final plat with the following conditions and requirements, which I somewhat spoke to, but which the applicant, the City of Brush, will speak to a little bit more in depth. So is there any questions from City Council on that? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Now, since the city's the applicant, I'll go ahead and open this up to our city administrator as the applicant.
Okay, Monty Torres, City Administrator for Brush, 600 Edison Street. In your packets, you'll see the conclusion and recommendation summary, and these were the last 5 remaining items that we needed to address, and that the Planning Commission approved based upon. And those conditions are, there's 5 of them, and the first one is the easement location for the stormwater pond on Lot 1 must be finalized and correctly located on the subdivision plat prior to recording the plat and development agreement. All the review, number 2 was all the review comments by RG must be finalized on the construction drawing set that will be associated with the development agreement for this project. Number 3, the stormwater study must be completed to the satisfaction of the city's development review engineer and the public works director prior to the recording of the development agreement and plat. Number 4, the city should obtain verification from RG and Associates that the road construction specifications have been properly specified and included within the construction cost. And then 5, the development agreement must be finalized and approved by City Council before it is recorded concurrently with this final subdivision plat. From the city staff, we don't have any issues with any of those conditions that were included by the Planning Commission. And the first 4 of those all we feel are gonna be pretty much complete by the end of this week without any issues there. The 5th one, the development agreement must be finalized and approved by City Council before it is recorded concurrently with this final subdivision plat. The development agreement, I've been working with Bo Chapin, our city attorney, to put that together. We have a pretty good draft that we think we should be able to finalize most of that this week. There's a few things that we need to add to it from the city staff end for some exhibits. And the only issue that we haven't quite resolved on it is the Colorado Lamb LLC has requested the city consider a reimbursement clause in there, reimbursing for future developers that go out there and start building, if the city would put in a reimbursement for some of that cost that they put in up front. So I'm working with Tyler on that and Bo on that. We haven't put together anything yet on it. We've researched it to some degree, but we need to come back to council on that item. And that may be part of the development agreement, or it may just be, there may be a placeholder in the development agreement that will work on that over the next month or two, because we realize that Colorado Lamb needs to move forward with purchasing the property before they can do much more out there. So that might be a follow-up item that we have left out there if the council says they want to go that direction. But that won't be, we'll have more information at the next council meeting on that one item. But everything else, we should have resolved by the end of this week. And we think it'll be a good improvement to the property out there, having a subdivision there, cleaning up the manure. We've cleaned up pens, concrete bunks, feed bunks for the animals that were out there. It's looking really good out there so far, so we're hoping that the city council approves the subdivision.
Are there any questions of the applicant from council? Okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to publicly comment about this project, please come forward, give your name and address.
Left it on, it's a bright
Yes, sir.
meat digger hat. Spence Rule, it's 4100 Washington County Road Q is my address. We are the applicant for the Colorado Lamb folks, and I'll tell you, it's been a struggle, but it's been a lot of fun too, from time to time. Other times not near as much, but we certainly hope that you can see your way clear to pass this thing and get us on the road here. As Monty said, the only thing we're waiting on now is the ability to purchase the property. And as you probably figured out, banks don't want to lend any money until we actually have ownership of the property. Not that they don't trust the city of Brush, but they just said, till it's yours, we're not loaning you any money. So
Right.
if there's anything we can do to expedite, we would certainly appreciate it very much. And if there's any questions, I mean, we're getting people already starting to get a lot of local people interested in talking about jobs and different things, different opportunities, hauling meat out and different things that are going on. So I think it's gonna be a real win-win for everybody.
How many jobs are you expecting from this?
Most likely around 50 on the floor itself, and then probably 6 or so in the office part.
Okay,
And then
all right, thank you. And you have footers in the ground starting?
we have footers in the ground.
Okay,
We do. Not all of them, but we're getting there.
okay. All right.
Any
other
questions?
Council?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if there's no one else, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And I would look for a motion to either approve or deny the application for the final plat, Brush Agri Park subdivision number 1.
I'd move that we approve the application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Andrea, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Baker,
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 5B, utility agreement with Colorado Lamb LLC. This would be Monty.
This is the utility agreement for Colorado Lamb LLC. This was brought to city council in the past, and council approved the draft that we had at that point in time. And the only thing we had to do was a few administrative adjustments to it. And I have Dale Colrick here if you have any technical questions about it, but it really just outlines what has to be paid for the water tap out there, then also for the wastewater tap out there on the site. And those have been gone over in the past with council. We're just needing that formal approval so we can execute the agreement.
We have Dale on there too. Is that just for questions, or do you have something to present?
Questions?
Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve or deny the utility agreement with Colorado Lamb LLC.
I make a motion that we approve the utility agreement with Colorado Lam LLC.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion. Andrea, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Baker,
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman. Yes. Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, the motion is approved. Moving on to 5C, lease with Morgan County Fairgrounds, Fairgrounds House for Best and Brightest students. Again, Monty.
Okay, this is just ratify what we have as an agreement for renting out the house out at the county fairgrounds for the best and brightest student. And it was executed previously by the mayor and already been executed by the county commissioners. We just need to be ratified by council.
Okay, I look for a motion to approve or ratify the lease agreement with Morgan County for a house at the fairgrounds for the best and brightest intern.
I move we ratify the lease.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Andrea, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Quinlan,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Counselor Sherman. Yes. Mayor Bain.
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 5D, resolution number 2019-1 concerning posting designation for the city of Brush. City Clerk Andrea.
Okay, just presenting this to you for your consideration. It is an annual posting requirement to let citizens know where agendas formally will be posted, which are in the lobby at City Hall.
Okay. We have a motion to approve or deny the resolution.
I move we approve the resolution number 2019-1, posting designation for the city of Brush.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Counselor Sherman. Yes. Mayor Bain.
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan.
Yes.
Okay, resolution is affirmed. Moving on to finance.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve city expenditures from December 10th through the 27th of 2018, totaling $301,755.29.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Sherman. Yes. Mayor Bain.
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan.
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Okay, and a second part of that on finance, since we didn't have a second meeting in December. 6B, city expenditures from December 27th through January 14th. Do I have a motion to approve or deny?
I'd like to make a motion to approve those expenditures totaling $264,817.28.
Okay, we have a motion.
A second.
Have a second. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Bain.
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan.
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Counselor Sherman. Yes.
Okay, number 7, moving on to finance. Joanne?
I just have one quick item this evening, and that is to let council, after my first review of our year-end numbers, you may recall in the budget process, we had an estimated ending cash balance for the general fund, which we always do, but for 2018, after the finishing up the year-end before audit is done, it looks like we're going to be approximately 200,000 greater in our ending cash balance than what we had estimated.
Right, thank you. Police Chief Boss.
Good evening. I have a few quick items. First, I was elected the chairman of the 911 Authority Board earlier this week, which governs how the 911 funds are spent through the Communications Center in Morgan County. We, as a department, are applying for 2 grants. One of them is in conjunction with Fort Morgan Police Department and Morgan County Sheriff's Office. We're establishing the groundwork there. We're a long ways from finished, but this would basically provide us with 1 additional officer beginning in 2020 and allow us to have 1 dedicated person to drug enforcement from Brush Police Department. Morgan County would have a dedicated person, and Fort Morgan would have a dedicated person. The second grant that we're applying for is equipment to provide the officers with better ballistic protection for active shooter type situations, and also give our SWAT team members much better and updated equipment. And then the last piece I have is, actually two more pieces, I guess. We began our SRO program this past week. It's running well, it's running smoothly. Been in communication with the schools to get a MOU finalized, which I expect in the next couple of weeks. And then the last thing I have, this Saturday, we're having just an employee recognition get-together for all the police department staff. So,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Community Services, Lance.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay, Public Works, Dale.
I have nothing.
Marketing, Tyler.
Just one piece of information that I think is of value is that the City of Brush is moving forward and getting a new website. And with the new website will be a lot more connectivity with our community. We hope to have a lot more features available, such as notifications via text message and email for different types of notifications people want to sign up for, whether it's sporting events or events in the community or emergency situations. And also a lot more online, well, I shouldn't say a lot more, having online forms where people can actually fill up without ever actually having to come into City Hall, fill out different types of request forms, whether it's some at PD or records requests and different things, all online and submitting those. And so it'll be very, very efficient for them as well as our time. So much more news to come on that.
All right, thank you, Tyler. City Clerk, Andrea.
And I gave everyone a calendar of different events going on and also circulating a RSVP for the Chamber Annual Banquet. And in front of you is your annual electronic stipend agreement. If you would fill it out and return it to me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. City Administrator, Brian.
One update this evening, and that's the fire department building. It's pretty much done at this point in time, and we just have a few more small cosmetic type fixes there that we gotta get taken care of by our contractor. And then it's gonna be followed up by a public notice, just make sure that everyone that has worked on the building has been paid. And then what we'll do is start planning with the fire department and the rural fire district, a little get-together, kind of a grand opening type event for the facility there. So it's looking really good, so we're pretty excited about getting all of the rural districts' vehicles inside, and as well as the city vehicles, all inside one building with plenty of space to assemble and work on their equipment and those type of things. So great project, and thanks to DOLA, they paid about 50% of that project.
Thank you, Monty. Number 8, Mayor and Council reports. Does anybody have any reports they'd like to give? Okay, moving on to 8B, appointment of David Lawrence to Historic Preservation Board. I think, can you speak to that, Andrea? We put out a request for anybody that might be interested in that board, and David Lawrence came forward, so we're bringing this to council to look for a motion to approve or deny the appointment of David Lawrence to the board.
I'd make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, discussion. Andrew, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan.
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Counselor Sherman.
Okay, moving on to 8C. We have executive session CRS 24-6-402 subsection 4 subsection B to confer with an attorney for the city for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions and pending litigations. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. We're gonna hold the executive session here.
The bachelor's on. Is that gonna be the thing? You gotta see how long it's like laughable. Because sometimes it stops being laughable, but then it like comes around again.
Or was it just placed?
Yeah, yeah. Comedy is repetition of time. So, repeated it a lot. Let's see how the timing goes next.
I like the day, so cute. Okay. The time is now 7:03 PM and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were City Administrator Monty Torres, City Attorney Bo Chapin, Councilors Marlene Baker, Larry Lundstrom, Vicky Quinlan, Dan Scalisi, and Dana Sherman, and also Andrea Strand. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we are adjourned and we'll start our work session right away. We have 5 items up for discussion.
Okay, the first item this evening